The arrival of COVID-19 highlighted that many countries were unable to address the need for greater technology as it relates to COVID and what it demanded. Schools were forced to go online. Students who have never been online were forced to go online. And some had no hardware, some had no software that was required to move towards these spaces. For example, you saw where children were grasping for any device that's possible. Some were Android, some were iOS systems and so forth. They just did not have it. And while some parents could afford it, others just couldn't afford it. Many parents took out loans to ensure that they could give their child the support necessary. But not having that support led to a gap. And how we close that gap as it relates to learning for the last 2 years is going to be important. The reality is that COVID broke the camel's back. In that, countries realized that they did not have the infrastructure, they were not ready, people were not trained to move to this digital space. And that created a problem. I traveled to Jamaica the other day and I was fascinated by the number of individuals outside banks that were waiting in line to be served. As a matter of fact, hundreds of people were outside. People wanted access to their cash. And that is frightening when you think about the digital world that we're trying to move towards. Now, I must tell you about my experience. I used my debit card during my stay in Jamaica. And I must say that 3 out of every 4 times that I used my card, I had a rejection. The rejection was not based on not having cash. It was based on the connectivity to that port and the verification that I had money in the account. Whenever they said it failed, I knew it was an internet connection. However, that was in August. Now it's September. I'm sure the situation has not been addressed. So how do we now, in a crisis, move our students online to be successful if we do not have the infrastructure that is needed to ensure that students have connectivity? Our system will always be behind if we do not address what needs to be addressed regarding our infrastructure. Notwithstanding, as we move towards having a wonderful digital space and close that gap, we have to be truthful. We have to be truthful and hold those individuals that are giving us the information accountable. Because you cannot speak your way into the issue of having technology for all. It must be investment. It must be about making sure that every child has the opportunity to succeed. And here are some points that I want to say that countries who are developing and even developed countries need to give attention to in order for us to ensure that access to technology is given to all. Not like in the days when you had black and white television and others had color and it was like a fight and a fuss whose TV was better. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a society that needs to be digitally sound in every sense. Therefore, here are a few points that I want to highlight. Countries need to understand the need to set up an infrastructure that is sound, an infrastructure that if there's a disaster or any formation that is similar to COVID, that the infrastructure will be maintained and sustained over a period of time. For example, in the Caribbean, there are a lot of hurricanes, so we need to set an infrastructure that is sound, and that will take investment. I would recommend that all countries consider a framework that they will build upon, and it will be sustained over another 30 years. And to be exact, after you reach the first 15 years, you're already thinking about another 30 years down the line so that you're not left behind. Don't think about the technology that has been dated to invest now. Think about technology for the future. Why invest in broadband when you can invest in fiber optics to ensure that you have faster bandwidth for computers? Another issue is ensuring that citizens can carry in their devices into the country without paying substantial cost. I realize that many countries, especially in developing countries, tend to tax these equipment so much that it's out of the reach of the individual who even want to carry it for a relative or friend. My thing is, consider your taxation level within the construct of your crisis. You cannot be taxing these digital devices to an extent so much, and the reality is you need these equipment and these sort of objects to ensure that your society is able to navigate the system within this crisis. Because the reality is the inequality that exists in Jamaica has always been there as it relates to new and emerging technology. So as we look and explore, we have to understand that the digital divide is here. And when we talk about the digital divide, we're just in fact saying those who are able to access new and emerging technologies and those who have not been able to do so. My issue for presenting this short presentation is to highlight the gap between the rich and the poor, and the gap for those who have and those who have not has somewhat remained consistent. As a country, have we advanced to the place that we can say that we are closing this gap where individuals in our society are able to access the required digital devices and hardware as well as the resources necessary for a digital world. So when we look at the digital divide, we look at it from a global level. Our country is able to provide the hardware, the software, the infrastructure that will allow their citizens to have access to the internet or to communication or to various forms of technologies. I would say that our technology advancement in the world has moved beyond some countries' resources to the point that we are unable to catch up or close that gap. But all is not lost. There are still many things that countries can do to advance the movement towards having or closing that digital divide. The reality is, for me, the digital divide is always going to be here. Notwithstanding, we have to close it, because if we're about equal opportunity as it relates to our society, if we're about equal opportunity as it relates to lifetime outcomes, then we have to address the inequality that exists in Jamaica and, of course, globally. In the United States, we see the digital divide too, because many students are online and they do not have the computers. I'm not saying this is a Jamaica problem. I think it's a global problem. And if you look in Nigeria, and I've interviewed someone from Nigeria recently, you'll see they have similar problems regarding responding to this COVID crisis within the context of ensuring everyone has access. The reality is, COVID has changed the way we will learn and the way we will teach and the way how we will operate our daily lives. Notwithstanding, we should see this challenge as an opportunity for innovation, as an opportunity for ensuring that we can garner an education system that is digitally sound and ensures that everyone has access and equal opportunity and that no child or citizen is left behind within this context. Thanks for viewing and thanks for watching, and please share and like this video.